Hello, and welcome to the How I Tested That podcast. I'm your host, David J. Bland. I'm an author and advisor, and I'm fascinated with testing early-stage ideas. I've helped companies all around the world, and in this podcast, I connect with entrepreneurs and innovators who had the courage to test their ideas with real people in the market, with sometimes surprising results. Please join us as we explore the ups and downs of experimentation together. In this episode, we interview Michael Leung. Michael is the CEO and founder of the Flo Group. He's built his company around a simple mission, which is making hearing solutions accessible, affordable, and life-changing for people of all ages. We discuss how his own personal experiences have shaped his approach to product development and testing. Specifically, we dive into how he tested his new open-ear bone conduction headphones with amplification before bringing them to market. Michael and I chat about how to test hardware products and the need for affordable and effective hearing solutions. Enjoy. Welcome to the podcast, Michael.
Well, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on. The topic is kind of near and dear to my heart with kind of assisted hearing. And also you're in the physical space, which I think is super interesting as well. Because, sometimes we think, it's easier to test your ideas in software, but anything else other than that, use the traditional methods. And so I'm just really excited where the conversation is going to go. And if you could just give a little background on yourself for our listeners before we jump in.
Yeah, for sure. From Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 44 years old. I'm the CEO, founder of the Flo Group, and we promote a new, healthy, and affordable way of hearing through our open-ear bone conduction headphone with a built-in amplification that aids hearing for people of all ages, from mild, moderate to even severe hearing loss. And we're trying to go global next year. And so far, results are amazing. Got some grants coming through, and lots of opportunities are happening right now. So it's exciting.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of visiting Calgary last year for Adventures, and I keynoted one of their sidetracks there. I was just super impressed with all the startup founders in that region and how even some of the local municipalities are trying to help fund things through, and the Canadian government trying to fund things through grants and such. I think people are sleeping on Calgary a bit as far as in an entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Oh, 100%. Like any senior home I go to, they always just want to help the local people, right? Just to bring the local people into the market and get them exposure and hype them up, especially as something that's going to help a lot of people. So.
Yeah. And so maybe give us some background. So it's assisted hearing, it's a device. The problem you're trying to solve, I hope I can explain a little bit about your experience with that and kind of what pulled you into this startup.
So what pulled me into startup was I have my own disability. So I have a retinitis pigmentosa, which I've lost my peripheral on one side. So I can only have tunnel vision, right? And over those time frame, I was like walking, leaping off stairs, walking to walls, shoulder checking people. People thought I was going crazy, and then found out that it's just my retinal detachment happened 10 years ago, and it led into this retinitis pigmentosa, but they have no connections at all. So now I could completely lose all my vision one day. It could be tomorrow, it could be 2 years, 20, 30 years, right? So that pushed me to really get things going. Like I had thoughts of doing things like this, but this now really pushed me into, third gear to really get something going. So I don't have much time. So, and over the time frame, my family, they own factories in Asia. So they connected me to the right sources, and I was able to pitch an idea. We collaborated. We were able to form something that I thought was going to be a good idea. So I had to get samples, and I had to trial a lot of different types of samples. A lot of them were pointless, but then you have to trial everything, right? So I canceled the ones that didn't work. And then obviously I saw the market out there for seniors. I have a friend that's an executive director to Senior Home. She got my foot in the door, and it just went off from there, right? So it became one senior home to 30, 40 senior homes, and word of mouth, right? And when I started visiting seniors, I found out there's a lack of participation. They feel excluded. They feel isolated because they don't want to use their hearing aids. It's uncomfortable. It's expensive. They lose it. They have to replace it. They just don't like the whole obstructing the ear canal. So my product sits on the outside. It sits in their cheekbone. So now using bone conduction, you can be aware of your surroundings at the same time using sound vibrations. So it's the healthiest way of hearing. On top of that, you don't have to worry about earwax built up. You don't have to worry about anything direct pressure to your ears. You don't have to worry about losing this thing. And if you lose it, you lose $300 as opposed to $8,000. So people are seeing the positive benefits of this. And it took a lot of testing, and I think I got the trust of the seniors. And now I'm trying children with the autism. I'm trying factory workers, blind athletes, dementia. It's actually working for many different groups now. Soon I'm going to be in the dementia care clinic. They're going to put me in there and just work with dementia patients because they can't have anything in their ears. So they go crazy with anything in their ears. So now this sits outside. They actually don't even feel it because it's so comfortable. Because people with dementia, they can only focus on one thing or two things, right? So when you got something in their ear, they're already going crazy. They can't focus, right? So this is something that could be transcending the hearing industry. So people are pumping me through.
Wow, that's such an impactful story. I think, coming out of personal challenges, even myself, I don't think a lot of listeners even know this, but 2 years ago, I suddenly lost hearing in my left ear. And it's been a lot of trial and error for me as well. Obviously stages of grief, doing like having hearing all your life and losing it versus someone that maybe was born with a condition, right? And my brain is trying to figure out why isn't sound coming out of this side of your head anymore. It's surprising to me the lack of products available on the market. And you talk about the traditional hearing aid experience. It's not a good experience. And it's also extremely expensive. I find myself even just either using ChatGPT or Google and just trying to find, hey, is there, or Reddit, is there some kind of niche thing out there that's for me? And it's surprisingly difficult to find, even though a lot of people suffer from similar ailments and things. I'm wondering from your side, what are some of those early tests you did, because you mentioned, you were kind of bumping into people and everything. And obviously you're trying to cope with this in some way and position yourself in a way where you can get through your day to day. But what are some of the things that you tried? You mentioned, kind of hinted at this earlier in your statement, but can you share a little bit with us about things that you tried and what worked and what didn't early on?
For the hearing or for my sight?
Let's start with your sight and then move into the hearing.
So this product actually caters to people that have blindness as well. It just happens, it helps people to hearing and blindness, right? We're working with people that are blind because when your sight is diminished, especially the ones that are severe or completely blind, they find this useful because now your hearing is enhanced, right? So now you depend on your secondary hearing and that becomes Spider-Man. So now you welcome those background sounds. You welcome the footsteps, the doors opening, closing, because now you can navigate better. You can tell who's around you, right? So this product actually helps people that are blind. And because my first product, it's a one size fit all, one setting. So there will be feedback from the first model. So that's more catered to people that are blind, right? So my second model that's coming out in September, we actually were able to fine tune it because I got suggestions from people over time. And they're like, okay, do you have adjustable headbands? There's different size heads, right? That was something we tested and we can't do because even Shots, Majawa, they all have a similar look like this, right? It looks like this, where it hooks onto your ears, right? Mounts down with secure fit. They don't have any size difference because when you change the band into a stretchable band or like something elasticy, it changes the mechanism of it because now you're pulling onto wires and, stretching it, right? So there's a reason why it looks like this, right? And if you want different sizes, you got to make special kid sizes or extra large sizes, right? And that costs money, right? So of course, that's why I've held back on it, but we decided to amp up and advance all the other suggestions or concerns that could make it even better. So because the other one's a one size fit all, one setting, the amplification on the new one has dual volume settings. So now you can change the volume on both sides. The buttons are more senior friendly because the first model, there's, some holding and clicking of buttons. This one is just one sliding button. And then the rest is like one click. It's more senior friendly, more easy to use, right? There's a sound noise reduction chip that's planted in. So now it's built in. The moment you wear it, the background sounds actually minimized by a lot. So people that have hearing loss, they don't hear all the background mumbo jumbo anymore, which drives them crazy. They're like, we hear that with hearing aids. We hear that with your old product. Do you have anything new? And this product worked flying colors, right? So they're like, could you please have this manufactured soon? So now I'm pushing it for September. People are pre-ordering it and I'm going back to all my senior homes and doing this testing and try to get them on pre-order. So the last thing we put in was there's 3 modes for 3 different environments. So you can have outdoor, indoor, and vocal. So you can have social interactions in a small setting, or you can be outside. So it can actually adjust the environment you're in too, right? So next level stuff, right? So yeah, just a lot of testing and retesting and evolution, right? Just keep revamping things, right?
Yeah. So it sounds like a lot about getting feedback from people. I imagine some people send emails, maybe some are in conversations and such.
In person, yeah.
How are you sorting through that feedback, or how do you begin to are you looking for patterns, or just explain that process a bit? Because I imagine you get some conflicting feedback and sometimes it's hard to really determine, okay, they're giving us feedback, but what do I do? Is there a problem behind it I'm trying to solve, and maybe in a different way?
So I have really severe ADHD. So when I really focus on something I really like, I go, I think about night and day. I lose sleep over it. So then I start thinking what the next best thing could be, right? So when people tell me this, it's always in my head. I have to fix this. I have to change it up. So when I talk to my team, I'm constantly pitching things. So I'm like, hey, you got to fix this. You got to fix this. I want the perfect product. And they're just obviously like, hey, you got to give us kind of some slack here, right? But I have to make it affordable. At the same time, I have to also make sure I don't overdo it too, right? Because when it gets too complicated, things will be more expensive. And then, it could cause issues for this technology, right? So I do get a lot of people saying, head sizes, because there are a lot of head sizes, but because you want to cater to the general population of the world. So you try to have like a general average size head. So, you can't impress everybody, but down the road, I will have different sizes. But at the moment, most heads do fit. So it is very important it fits, because that's where it has to sit on the cheekbone securely, right? So when your head's bigger or smaller, now it's not holding as properly. It might be floating on your head. You got to hold it with your hand, which wouldn't work very well, right? So the amplification, I have to make sure there's controls, there's volume settings, because when there's no volume, when you put it on, is one size fit all, one setting, there could be issues, right? Because some people have different frequencies and they need that different change in frequencies. And because there's a dual volume, you can change it on both sides. So maybe your ear is a little more, more worse on one side, you can change it a little higher, right? So a lot of different things we thought through, especially the seniors with the buttons. They found it hard to hold buttons and click buttons, because when you have to hold a button for 5 seconds with your strength, a lot of them they don't have that strength to do it. So that became a problem where they had to get assistance. And of course, that can be frustrating, right? Because you want them to use it on their own too, right? So we tried everything, different scenarios, and now it's senior friendly. Everything that they asked for, it's pretty much there. And that's why people are loving it, right? So
yeah, it sounds like a lot of feedback, and you're always thinking about this, how to take what they're giving you as far as feedback and incorporate it into your design. I think kind of a personal story from my side, right? Well, first I was able to hear things panning back and forth, and now I can't. So when I try to things like video games, right? Because I love playing video games, I can't hear the people coming from the left side. And it gets very frustrating. And so I was like, well, I could pump all the sound into one side, but then I don't know if it's coming for left or right. And I did find a Kickstarter where people are separating the speakers on one side, and then they're panning up and down instead of left to right, which helps a little bit, but I'm still trying to retrain my brain of all those years of you hear something on your left side, you turn left, and now it's kind of like, well, if you hear something on your right side at the top, then you turn left. And that's easier said than done as far as retraining. So for the hearing side of things, what kind of feedback are you getting? Are you observing people using it? And explain a little bit about that process a bit and how you're staying connected to folks.
So basically, I do a lot of guest presentations at senior homes. So I go senior home. I spend about an hour. Presentation about 20, 30 minutes, just talk about my life, to how I discovered this, to the technology benefits, right? And, special collaborations. And then I get into the volunteers, testing them one by one. I have another product so I have a TV. I notice seniors are actually blasting their TV very loud. So then I have another product where it's a Bluetooth transceiver where you can connect everything, and now they can watch TV at mute. So now they don't have to blast the TV and it goes directly to the headphone, right? So they can answer the phone, watch TV all simultaneously. And if they want to talk to the amplifier, they'll turn the amplifier on and they'll go walk around, talk, and come back, right? So I do the presentation by testing their hearing through the TV first. So I'm like, here's the TV out loud, so they can hear it out loud. Then I mute it and they can hear everything through this headphone, right? And then after, I'll test them through the application. I think watch TV with the amplifier just to see how the sound is comparable. So one is the cinematic sound through the transceiver, because it's directly from the TV. And the other is more of an amplified sound. So they can tell the difference, right? So through that, that's when I do the testing. And they'll take out their hearing aids. They'll see how well they hear. And if they can't hear too well, because I have some seniors that are so severe, their hearing aids are even worn out, right? So they actually combine the product, because one, you can put over top. The hearing aids are in your ear, so that you can combine the two. So you got a double stacker. And some found it very beneficial. They're able to hear again. So, and there's no right or wrong way. So that's why this is very trendy, and it doesn't have that stereotype behind it, right? So people that are young that don't want to wear hearing aids because they feel like it's going to be stereotyped. Now you can wear this headphone that has this built-in amplification that is like James Bond of hearing aids, right? So
yeah, it's the fashion and the style do play a role. I'm wondering, because you're hardware, how do you even begin to test different designs and such? And you mentioned some manufacturing experience, maybe that's playing a role here too. But for folks that are listening that are like, oh, I have a physical product and I'm really having a hard time figuring out how to test different parts of our different designs, what kind of things worked for you?
With mine, because you see there's like ear hook, right? So it has to sit on the ear. And I just noticed there's like, because there are so many people with different ear shapes and stuff too. So if you have an ear that doesn't have a deep enough gap in the front to mount it down, it'll slide, right? So some seniors will wear it, and if their head's too big, it'll just kind of like the transducer, the pad will sit inside their ear. It's supposed to sit in front, so push it back into the ear, which is not working at all, right? So that would just blast the sounds into the eardrum, which is not cool, right? So in that case, it's like the design of it is pretty much the way it looks, because so many other bone conduction headphones out there, they all look the same, but mine's different because mine has amplification built in. No one else has it. So they can only listen to music, talk on the phone. That's all they can do. Mine has that, plus you got this hearing device you can use to socially engage now, right? So the design is just, all the designs I had, all the samples I came with all look the same. It's just the comfortability. When people start wearing mine, this is the most comfortable one they wore, to the point where they will wear my demos off into their room, and I'm missing some, like 4 or 5 of them. I'm like, hey, where are you going? And they're in their room still wearing them. They didn't know it's on their head. And like, there's just a lot of things like I noticed just testing over time, is even like the demographics of seniors, of like the women were the most engaged with this kind of product. It's kind of weird because you think when men would come out because it's technology, right? But they were so worried about the stereotype that they hid in their rooms, and their wives would be the ones listening to the show, right? So I have 40, 50 people. It's like 45 women, 3, 4 men. And I was like, why is this? It constantly kept happening. And then after it's done, she's like, can you come to room, blah, blah, blah. My husband's waiting for you. I'm like, okay. And then another wife's like, hey, can you come up to the room? My husband's waiting for you. So I had to secretly go see the husbands, because they don't want to wear their hearing aids. They actually own hearing aids, and some of them refuse to wear them, which is crazy, right? So now you can wear this comfortably, and you don't have to wear your hearing aids. You don't have to worry about losing them. Put them aside on a wedding or important day. You can wear this in the premises, right? So now it's more trendier. And I feel like in the beginning, it was almost like pulling teeth, because when I first came, they're like, no, it's okay. They rejected it because they thought it was a young person's thing. As more and more people start wearing, Bob started wearing it, Heidi started wearing it, and then they're like, I want what Bob's wearing now. And then it's like the trend. They all kind of start storming in. It's just, I noticed that afterwards now, it's actually more men coming out now. It's like, because technically it's for everybody, right? And when they get really into it, they're super into technology. So it's just more an embarrassment of wearing hearing aids. That's why they don't show up, right? But that's stuff you learn too. It's like, I never thought that would be that big of a drastic difference in percentage that comes out, right?
Yeah, I couldn't have predicted that either. I mean, that's the brilliance of going out and trying it, and then having an open mind and not explaining it away. It sounds like you were very attuned to, hey, something's going on here, and getting to the underlying cause, of the embarrassment. I mean, I find so many founders create these perfect products, in their head, and then they get really frustrated when people don't adopt them and buy them. And they don't spend enough time with those underlying issues of what would prevent adoption. So it's very, very interesting. So it sounds as if you have sort of like different demographics for your product. You have sort of the older demographic, but then you also are marketing to other younger folks as well. So does that change your messaging at all? Or like, how does that impact sort of your acquisition? Or have you thought about that of how you market to different segments?
That's a great question, actually. Haven't anyone asked me that. But yeah, so at first I was kind of like catering to everybody. But then when you work with seniors, I was told focus on them only for now. And then everything else kind of branch off. Because when you start telling them, hey, I got labor workers, I got, this and that and children, they start kind of thinking things are too all over the place and they get kind of confused. And if you want to help them, you just say, this is for seniors, because it just sounds like that you're just trying to put your head in too many cookie jars, right? So seniors they get kind of they hold back a bit on that, right? So I learned to, when I do senior presentations, I just talk about seniors. I try not to bring up anyone else. I do say it for all ages, but then I just leave it at that, right? Because I'm working with them directly, right? So I just tell them all my experience working with seniors, and they trust me because I resonate with them. Because I have this eye disability, it puts me into like comfortable position with them because they don't feel like I'm a sales guy that I'm trying to sell them stuff. And I never push my products on them. If they want to think it over, please think it over, because I don't want you to jump in and buy something you don't want to buy. And by all means, please bring your children in these events, and when the children comes, they gravitate towards this because they're like, please, is there anything else out there? And can you help my parents? And they're the financial supplier. So they always have to ask my children first, right? So for me, it's like my product is so useful. I'm not those like easy money guys. I need to sell today, right? I know if they're going to come back. I know this is going to sell. So I'm not even worried, right? And the fact that anyone can have a product out there. But if you don't go and actually put your work through and test people one by one in the hundreds and thousands, no one's going to buy your thing, because it's like, that's why I'm not worried about someone copying me or someone actually changing it up, because it's been known that I'm out there already doing this. I'm actually going door by door. I actually drive door to door. People call me, I fit them in, I drive to their doorstep, go walk in, CEO, fitting them, you got to put the hard work into it, or else it's just a product that's not going to sell. You have the best thing ever. It's never going to go anywhere.
I agree. And people can copy the what, but they don't understand the why, and especially they don't usually understand the customers as well as you, because you're doing all the hard work to understand your customers. So it sounds as if you're being very thoughtful about it and the way you're positioning it. So you mentioned, you have different form factors. It sounds like you've tested other bone conducting units and everything and saw this sort of gap. I think that's very interesting as well, because we always talk about, I don't know, I get all these questions about, we're in red ocean and blue ocean, and red ocean's, a race to the bottom, and it's hard to stand out and everything, and we can never find an unmet need, and because there's so many products. And I find that to be less and less true. It seems as if personalization is really important to people. And no matter how many products exist in a category, there's usually, you can even go back and look at the reviews and see, okay, they don't do certain things well,
For sure.
And so it feels as if the amplification, that's how you came to that as well. And so I'm wondering, sort of like moving forward, you have this coming out in September, which this episode should air in September as well. So that's good timing. Do you have like big assumptions you're testing or things that you're worried about that keep you up at night, that sort of moving forward? Because you can definitely base off of what you've learned, but moving forward, like what are the things? We often phrase these as desirable, viable, feasible. Like desirable being the customer, viable being willingness to pay and cost, and feasible being your just like ability to execute. So are there any things around like the customer, or even like, I don't know how heavily regulated this industry is in Canada, willingness to pay? Like, where are you drawn to out of those? Is there something that's like keeping you up at night at the moment that you want to test?
That's a great question too. It's something no one has really asked, which I love to answer too. There are some concerns for me because the technology is always improving, it's always evolving. But that's why I always keep up to date with what I'm doing. And I'm always talking to my team and I would never do anything to go backwards. Like with this product, it's going to be better and better. Like even with the charging, the last one took 2 hours. This is going to take 1 hour. The last one was 8 hours. I want this in the last 10 hours for usage. So it's going to keep building me. And this will be 12 hours, So people want more usage out of it and less charging time, right? So, and of course, the first one was more complicated. Now this one's more senior friendly. And maybe the next one will be voice control, because you talk and it just turns on, right? So less touch, less operating with your hands, I feel like, because now there's AI, there's so many different things, but people ask me, you want to do AI? I was like, I don't think I want to complicate things anymore with my product. It's good the way it is. And it can change in the design. It could be even more comfortable, more lightweight. With shocks, it's like, so shocks, if you look between me and shocks, it looks like half the size of this actually, because they don't have as much mechanism, because mine has the amplification in it, right? So it has all these extra chips in it that looks a little more bold looking. Theirs looks more thin and like lightweight because it only does, what they do, right? But their technology is high up there. So that's why a lot of people wear them, right? But I can't say I want to copy their design or like make it as small as them because, maybe one day you can make the chips even smaller, I guess, right? With the market, I'm never really worried about that this is going to go out of style or this is going to like fade away because it's a necessity. And I see the demand for it and how it lights up people's eyes. It's almost like life changing. And like, they're just like, I just want to listen to my grandchild talk. Like, and then they put it on, now they can hear. They're like at the dinner table, everyone leaves us out of the conversation because they don't think we can hear. And I just go along and just nod my head, pretend I'm hearing it and I don't understand. So then they're just like, please. And then, helping people with dementia, and like, because their spouse is like desperate. They're like, they don't wear the hearing aids. They can't hear anything. I'm shouting at them with my throat and I'm losing my voice. Is there anything? And I give them my product for 3 weeks, 4 weeks for free, just to like try it. And like, to me, that it comes a long way when you help people instead of like, hey, we'll charge you this for this. It's like, here, it's for free because I know they're going to come back and refer me people and they're going to buy the new device from me. So the more you help people, the more you go and show your face and do these like special things for people, I never worry that I'm going to go fade away into, the sunset or anything. I always feel like I'm going to have the upper hand. So I'm not like worried about a lot of factors. I'm just more, I guess, maybe if someone else comes out with something better, or something even more less expensive or like, I mean, it could happen, right? But like I said, I'm not that worried either because they have to put the work in. So if they don't put the work in, they just have this project throw out there. No one's going to buy it either. So, that's why I have this first step ahead of everybody, that's why I'm going on Dragon's Den. Legacy Makers coming on the summer, right? So, yeah.
That's awesome. Dragon's Den. That's big time. I'm wondering, and I kind of glanced over this earlier, but when we talked about those three themes of desirable, viable, feasible, in feasibility, is this regulated? Because is it a hearing aid or classified not as a hearing aid? Or help me understand that a bit, because I'm sure there's people dabbling in this industry and they're like, oh, I can never do this. Because like here in the States, we have FDA approvals and all this other stuff. So how are you navigating all that? Or is that not a worry?
I'm not too worried. Like, the product is patented on my supplier side, and I trademarked this all over, North America it's more of a recreational product, but it actually has health benefits for it, right? So I've been asked if I should make it a medical approved product. But if I do, now I got to put it through all these testing. I have to pay for the testing. Now this product's going to be $200-$300. It'll be $1,000 now, right? So people respect that it costs much less than hearing aids, where I'm actually thinking of, promoting at Walmart, Best Buy, where people can just pluck it off the shelf and wear it without going to get their ear tested. So it's just easy and convenient. And I don't have to make it medical. And people are still like senior homes. I got innovation places. I got audiologists all willing to work with me. No one's kicking me out saying, you don't belong here. But hearing aid companies, when I do presentations with them, they separate me with them because they give me a little dirty stink eye sometimes because they're like, why are there so many people lining up for him? And then they come and try to like, knock on me and try to break me down a bit. They're like, what is this? Does the thing even work? And I was like, oh, it works, and they're just like, kind of like a little worried. Right. But
yeah, that reminds me a little bit of like audio industry. I went to a talk in Silicon Valley and one of the co-founders of Tesla, and he was talking about the early days where they would go to car shows and all the ICE, internal combustion engine folks would come over and just like stare at them like, what are you trying to do? That's never going to work, But then you fast forward to today and all these EVs and everything are popularized. But I think that comes along with the early adopter sort of like when you're pushing things a bit, you are going to get the stink eye on some of this. But it sounds as if the way you've classified it, it's interesting because if you think of like, look what Apple's doing, right? With their AirPods and things, they're kind of blurring the line. I can say just from my experience working with medical companies and biotech companies, they're terrified of the consumerism of some of this stuff, because people will go to Apple and say, well, why would I go get a hearing aid? Or I can just get these things with hearing assistance, on them. So I do think the line's getting blurred. I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I do think, as long as you're solving a problem for people, obviously like it's really important. But I feel like it sounds like you're navigating that, so far. So you have sort of these products that are born out of personal things you've experienced. And now you're realizing that there are these other segments that also share similar problems that you can solve. Where do you see this going in the future beyond like even September and beyond? Where do you see potential of how you can solve problems for people? Like, is there anything that really gets you excited, or maybe a segment you haven't, even contemplated yet?
I'm excited for this global recognition, this global branding, because right now it's just in Calgary and I'm kind of just, hitting up the neighboring cities. But I have Toronto, Vancouver, where I'm eventually going to start merging other provinces and then slowly. And then, of course, my TV show, Legacy Makers, that's actually going to be streamed on all major platforms. So when that comes out, it's going to be, there's celebrities, there's some top name celebrities on it. They're featured on it. And then you got 225 entrepreneurs like me that they actually focus and talk about their life and their products and how it impacts the, socially impactful. So this TV show, I feel like that would really bring me to the next level and people would actually find out about this globally. And through the podcasting, I'm doing many of these podcasts, like some in Australia, some in India. So it's just like, in the moment they hear about it, they're like, wow, this thing is amazing. When can we get one? Like my dad needs one, my son needs one. Like, it's just, that excites me because almost like, and the most excitement I get is when I actually test people and I see some of them are tearing, and it just makes my heart warm because it's like such a simple product. And I never thought it would get to that extent. And now I felt it, I see it. I know it could be like, it can hit the low income families. This is what we're trying to get grants for. So low income families can't afford hearing aids. They kind of qualify. They have nothing to work with. So now you have this and you get for free for them through the government grants. Now they're going to be, the quality of life's increase. They can hear, they can socialize. And imagine all these low income people able to hear now, what great of a world this would be, So, that excites me. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that you shared your story with us. I feel like there's so many possibilities with what you have. And it feels like as long as you're staying really connected to your customers and understanding their problems, you're making this product better and better. If folks want to reach out to you and they've heard you on this episode, whether it's investors or other people, maybe they're experiencing some of the challenges that your product solves, how would they reach out to you? What's the best way?
Yeah, my website is www.theinnerflow.com. So THEINNERFLO.com. So without the W, FLO. And that has content, technology, benefits, online shopping. And the online shopping is only for Canada, US right now, but I'm going to start opening up other countries later because of the demand. And then you can all do my emails on there. They can reach support. That's also me. I'm doing everything for now. And then, of course, we're going to revamp the website to, put blogs on there. We're going to put partnerships, other logos and brands and TV shows. Anything's going to be on my website later. It's just, and of course, my social media is the Flo Group. So that's Instagram. The Flo Group, so THEFLO Group. So yeah, that's where they can find me.
Awesome. We'll put those links on the page as well. But if you're listening and you want to reach out to Michael, please do so. I want to thank you so much for hanging out. I mean, again, this is a topic kind of near and dear to my heart too. And I loved how you talked about testing your way through different iterations of this product and really trying to make it better for people. I just really appreciate you being open and honest and sharing your journey with us today.
Thank you. I had a great time. It's one of my favorites. I got really deep into this one.
Thanks for joining.
Great questions. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of How I Tested That, where we share stories about experimentation, tips, and tricks. If you learned something new, please recommend us to a friend or colleague. And remember, keep testing your ideas.